So you came to talk. With a Hammond, yeah. Any Hammond.
Benson's question was answered with a shrug, and he rubbed the bridge of his nose. As professional as he seemed, I could still see the tiredness of his face. My mind immediately thought to Thanatos saying he was going to stop Benson playing with guns, but he had one on him. Looking over to Haas, I noticed that he was keeping his distance, lingering closer to Sal. The others all seemed to be on edge as well, no one really knowing what to say or do.
As long as it's one that can answer my questions, I don't care.
Without missing a beat, he looked over to Haas, raising an eyebrow.
Gun still how you spooked Haas?
Alright, so that's explicit now.
Can't say I'm thrilled, no. Ah, well. Not much we can do about that now, can we? Not these days, anyway.
Trump's America.
Indeed, dangerous times we find ourselves in. Ain't that the truth?
There was another lull in the conversation while Dom sighed upon realizing that his request for a Hammond hadn't been fulfilled.
No Hammond around? Or are we just not gonna go find one for me?
I could see Benson tense up and look towards me. If I didn't know better, I'd have thought that he wasn't sure what to do.
Just 'cause of Jack?
The mention of his name made my fur stand on end, and I felt a chill scrawl along my spine.
You know about that? How? Easy. Jack and I.
He looked around the room lazily, briefly digging a finger into his ear before turning back to Haas.
We're work buddies.
My heart sank, and Orlando went to speak up, but was cut off by Benson.
If that wasn't blatant confirmation, I don't know what is. Oh, what? How twisted this deal you're likely to propose is. To that end, I shall not be fetching the master of the house or any Hammond for you.
He's looking for an excuse to deny Hammond because Hammond is not here. Hammond does not exist. I half expected a threat to be made, but Dom just shrugged.
Fair enough.
That's it? You're just gonna let that go?
I came to talk, not shoot up the place. The boss is
It's
gonna do that
Dom.
anyway. Oh, oops. I came to talk, not shoot up the place. The boss is gonna do that anyway.
When?
Depends mostly on what comes of the talk.
Benson looked uneasy again, and the rest of my friends looked a mix between scared and wary. Thanatos, by comparison, seemed like he was having a great time, even sliding off my shoulder to stand on the table.
And this deal was. Not without talking to him.
But that's...
Not another word, Dave. Let the kids speak. Only way we're getting through this talk is if we're open and honest with one another.
I shot Benson an apologetic look before turning back to Dom. Getting you a Hammond might be hard given, there isn't one here anymore.
What?
It's as Dave says. I'm likely your best bet for any questions you may wish answered in light of recent events.
What questions did you even have?
He looked from Benson to Roswell, back to Benson, then settling on Roswell.
Nothing downstairs is his, right? The thing the boss calls a time machine. There is a thing down there, but it's no time machine.
And you know the boss is on the mountain now, right?
The assumption had been made, but it's nice to have clarification on that map.
I'll level with you. He's gonna come looking for it, and he's gonna take it. He wants it, whether he's allowed to have it or not.
I believe he was told he can't have it.
You and I both know that's not gonna matter one way or another. I'm telling you he's gonna come and take it.
This is sounding less like a deal and more like, I don't know, a threat?
Look, I'm not fussed about getting my hands dirty. I'd rather just have the easier job and have you out of the way.
The audacity you've shown by showing up alone is remarkable. Even so, as far as to stipulate this deal without offering us anything in kind.
What exactly is the deal you had in mind? What do we get out of just handing over the thing in the basement?
Your lives, for starters. Like I said, the boss doesn't mind if things get dirty. If we don't have to clean up the bodies, it's just easier. Love a working man.
Just here to get things done. So it's a trade between maybe dying and probably dying?
I have to admit, I'm loath to believe someone
Benson.
of Memphis's morals.
Oh, you're right. This is Benson. Too many red tones.
I have to admit, I'm loath to believe someone of Memphis's morals to uphold any deal we strike, especially when it turns out what he's looking for doesn't exist.
So no deal.
Once Memphis finds out that it isn't what he wants, I imagine he's going to try seeking out someone to make what he wants happen.
And the person who would best be able to do that is, well, dead.
You can't be serious.
It's true. So we can't really help?
Shit.
He leaned forward and ran his claws over the fur of his face, trying to think it out.
Given you're here now, does that mean we have some time until he comes knocking?
It's gonna be tomorrow if I return with bad news. Could maybe push it back a day or two longer.
Not as if we're hurting for supplies out in the woods.
A couple of
So
extra days aren't gonna.
reasonable.
A couple of extra days aren't going to matter if it's gonna end up in anyway, especially now knowing that he's gonna potentially hunt us regardless.
We don't have time to call in a favor. It works better for us. Not if it's the first time the boss has brought it to courts.
As much as I'd like to entertain the deal, you haven't offered us anything substantial for us to make things easy for you. Our route off the mountain is regrettably not an option. Oh yeah, Jack's fall for the road. Not the way we got here, but getting out could still be on the cards.
It does kind of make me wonder if Jack blew up the road, then maybe he also blew up the mansion. He just likes to blow things up, since he was literally alone in the mansion after killing Benson for some period of time. He might have just planted a bunch of bombs in there. And then Thanatos is just a dick, so he just knew it was happening and didn't do anything about it. There's another way back home?
Where?
No. Not gonna let that slip unless we come to an agreement. Plus, that option might be not so great, depending on what the boss says.
How bad is it?
I imagine the problem comes of Memphis, then knowing where we escaped to and setting up a trap.
So we're back to potentially being in danger versus probably being in danger.
It appears so. Best I can say is I can ask the boss to see what he thinks.
Are the odds good that he'll let us just go?
No clue. It's unlikely.
But is it worth the gamble?
All I can say is that it's the only offer on the table. Option is to see how well you go out there on your own, but with the road out and you not knowing another way off the mountain.
Yeah.
I need some time to think.
Benson looked broken and seemed to stare off into space, then down to the floor as he started to shuffle away. I watched as Roswell took his leave as well, heading into the kitchen deep in thought. The rest of us swapped looks, not knowing what to do next.
What?
Well, it's not as if we really know what to be thinking, right?
How did this even happen? Were you always part of the mob? Is this a new thing?
We're new. It was actually that gig we had which started this up.
What?
Hold on. What gig? The show that was filmed here or whatever it was?
Gee, thanks for paying attention to the start of my acting career, buddy. Dude, you're the one that lied to everyone and said that you'd never been. Think anyone about this? Shut the fuck up, Hoss. What the fuck?
I'm just... It reads as sarcasm.
It is sarcasm, but it also is like a ridiculous.
But also, isn't Orlando correct? Or
yes.
So why?
Like Orlando is correct. Well, the thing here though that's weird is that like Orlando is correct. Orlando is also the person who has been demonstrated to care the most about like Hoss's like random stuff.
I'm confused what he's being sarcastic about. Like, when someone's like, wow, thanks for paying attention to the start of my acting career, buddy, implies that he's wrong and doesn't know about his acting career and he's a bad friend, is what it sounds like to me. But he's right.
Yeah.
So...
But the thing that
I
gets
don't
me
understand what the
is,
implication of that line is.
The thing that gets me there that's weird is just...
Or is he embarrassed about this gig? So he's like, ah, geez, thanks for remembering that I worked here.
Well, no.
Like,
well,
I just don't understand what he's implying by that line.
The thing that's weird though is that before we knew that Hoss doesn't think anyone knows about his previous career. It was like a thing that he was like sort of keeping from everyone and not making a big deal out of. And also, he lied when we got here about a show being filmed here and acted like he had never been here before. So him being like, wow, Orlando, even as a sarcastic thing, is like, wow, thanks for caring about my career, is like, dude, you explicitly went out of your way to make sure no one knew about whatever the fuck this was, so shut the fuck up. Like, this is not something you should be needling Orlando for. Even if you're just making a joke, it doesn't make sense for him to even know what you're talking about.
But it also doesn't make sense on its face because Orlando's not oblivious. He's correct, right? So I don't.
Yes,
I
that's
just don't
new
understand.
information as well.
I don't understand what his sarcasm just doesn't actually parse. I have no idea what his implication is of that line. Like what he's trying to convey.
Like, I think he's saying like, you don't know the name of the show? Wow. Which is like, okay.
You think it's that?
No,
like he just couldn't name the show, I guess.
Yeah, like Orlando just flippantly says like, you mean the show that was filmed here? Like that's like as if that's the detail. And Haas is like, wow, that's all you think about it? Just it's the show that was filmed here?
Yeah.
Like or whatever it was. Yeah. So he's just being, Haas is just being like, wow, you're not giving it the proper reverence. And it's like, dude, literally no one knows anything about it. And you explicitly tried to make yourself not like a big deal. So Orlando being flippant about it is literally a direct response to how you've been portraying this TV show. It's like, what the fuck?
Odd line. Because yeah, it's explicitly, even if he wasn't explicitly lying about it, it was the very least like it was definitely a reveal in the narrative. They're like, oh, Haas has been here before. Like one of your friends has been here before. It's supposed to be a big mystery, which means he wasn't like being forthcoming about it, which is what you would probably do if the weird mansion your friends all went to happened to be a place you worked at a few years ago. You'd be like, oh, I've been here before. I know this place.
Yeah, it's just so fucking weird. I don't like these characters at all.
What do you mean by
I
started
don't like
up?
the way that they're bouncing off each other.
Yeah, their dynamics are a little odd. What do you mean by starting up? Was it like a recruitment?
Don't think that it started that way. Boss knows what he likes in a man.
Oh, okay. Careful how you phrase that.
If you're a bit bigger Bill Haas, chances are you've been recorded too.
Yeah, I'll pass, thanks.
Was that filming even legitimate, or was it just for Dad to scope out new members for the family?
Can't tell you.
What a bizarre... Just the idea of entertaining Orlando's bizarre guess is like just a very strange thing for anyone to do, because that was an insane sentence for him to say. Like that was, we made up an entire show just so that we could scout the help, like the crew for the what?
Can't or won't?
Okay. I don't know. Took a shine to my buddy Jack though. Brought him along.
How did I miss this happening? How did I not know that Dad had brought you and Jack in on things? If I did, then maybe I could have just... maybe...
Because he thinks you're a piece of shit, really.
Dude, not cool.
You asked.
But still, Orlando's his son, right?
Outside of money and violence, I don't think I've seen the boss crack a smile over anything else. Gets real mad when you bring up a son, though.
Because?
But it is the air. Old Tennessee still kicking, doesn't do him any favors either.
Memphis and Tennessee.
I can't wait until we learn of Orlando's sister, Florida.
Is Memphis in Tennessee? Where's Memphis? The phrase Memphis, Tennessee just feels right in my brain. So I'm like, is Memphis in Tennessee? Because if that was the case, why is one of them named after a state and either way, one's named after a city and one's named after a state, but why would one be named after the city that's in the state? Are they siblings?
I don't know. And we have no information about these characters.
Old Tennessee still kicking around doesn't do him any favors. Is Tennessee Orlando? Well, it says old. Yeah, I can't guess which direction in the family Tennessee is in. Huh. They have a bizarre naming scheme in this family. And they're Japanese. So I have less idea what to do with that. It's like, they sound like what an American character would be named in a Japanese game.
By context, that'd be...
Grandpa.
The boss can't do much about who's next in line when the old man's still about. But once he's gone, well...
He wouldn't kill Grandpa, would he? I caught sight of Roswell entering the room again, looking dejected, even with the snacks under his arm. I tuned out what the others were talking about to watch Roswell wander up here. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for losing track of the important possible plot of the game so you can look at Roswell carry snacks. I tuned out what the others were talking about to watch Roswell wander up to where we were all stationed and threw a bag of marshmallows on the table.
Oh, hey, thanks, little man.
Oh my god, it's the marshmallows from the other vision. I thought this was implying that it was like some other time, some past thing. I drew some strange conclusions in that vision. Roswell gave him a brief scowl before sitting down in a chair himself, burying his face in his hands without touching the snacks he'd strewn about his part of the table. I found myself sitting down nearby, wondering why I felt so off. It was likely everything Dom had told us, the sense of entrapment that was lingering in the air. The worst of it was that Dom seemed completely fine with how rattled everyone still standing was. I just caught up with the fact that Roswell's just grabbing a bunch of snacks and scattering them everywhere, like the last scene wasn't literally just about rationing and meal planning everything. Oh, fuck it, let's just eat these snacks. It's been 5 seconds, let's forget what that scene was.
Yep. Snacks aren't food, they're snacks. They're different. You can just eat as many of them as you want all the time, and if they run out, then you're just out of snacks. It's not a problem.
Hey, Hoss, remember how the food was on set?
He said nothing and just watched as Dom reached out for the bag of marshmallows, tearing it open and shoveling a few in his mouth. Do you really work for Dad?
Sure do.
Nah, I just manifested all his intimate details. I'm a big fan.
But why?
Why not? Pays all right. Easy jobs every now and then.
But it's against the law?
And?
What do you mean, and? Or what do you mean, and? Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean by that, Orlando? It's your family.
Last I checked, you were part of this family too, even if the boss doesn't like it.
You're willing to admit that I exist at least?
But you working for Memphis just... Where do we go from here?
What do you mean?
This deal doesn't go down, well, then that can only mean one thing.
You mean?
Me returning with my buddy Jack, shooting up the place.
I withdrew into myself a little as Orlando and Haas looked at one another mortified. No one said anything, and the silence went on long enough that Dom assumed he was correct.
If it comes to it, and I have no problems putting a bullet through that pretty face of yours, Hoss. That's just what's in the job description.
Well, time to stop being relaxed around Dom, Haas. He shrugged lazily, standing up.
If I wanted to do it now, I could. Just don't want to.
So, what happens now? We can't let him leave after that, can we? Knowing he'll just be back to try shooting us?
You think you can stop me leaving?
We outnumber you.
And that's what's gonna oops. And that's what's gonna happen when I don't touch base with the boss. And what's gonna happen when I don't touch base with the boss?
Dom turned to me, his toothy smile not fading a bit.
I reckon a certain friend of mine might come looking for his friend.
That's hardly a good counterpoint when the implication is that you're all going to come back as a group to kill us regardless. Better not kill me, or the thing that I say is gonna happen anyway if I live is gonna happen, but with fewer people, making it more manageable. I could feel my skin crawl into my fur, barely watching as Dom made his way from where he was sitting to stand behind me. His heavy hands dropped on my shoulders and he leaned in, speaking quietly.
Jack's been wanting to see you again too. Almost brought him along, but felt it'd be better to hold off so we didn't have any accidents.
I was quaking, looking to Thanatos for any indication as to what we should be doing. Instead, he seemed intent on just lounging back on one of the oversized marshmallows, as if it was a meat beanbag. What? Oh, Thanatos. I had to figure out the scale for a second there. It slipped my mind on who was talking, on who was describing. I'm like, how big was the marshmallows? We're just gonna let him walk? Don't have much of a choice, do we? You literally have a choice. There's so many opportunities where someone from behind him can just snatch the gun that's just blatantly sticking out, and then he has relatively few defenses, and then when the guys inevitably come to kill you all, they have one less guy. Like, you just came to the conclusion it's gonna happen anyway. Why let them regroup and him join them if it's gonna happen? Take one of them out now. This just makes sense. Benson was right in the other route, apparently.
Why so angry? I went out of my way to offer you guys an alternative.
Yeah, some alternative. Something felt very wrong about what was happening. Thanatos' smile seemed to hint at it too. But did that mean I had to step in here, or just let things play out?
That makes me think that that Dom is the wild card, because he was like, there's so many variables, and the way that all these people react with this is going to be a big deal, and now he's... I think this is kind of what he was talking about.
Anyway, no point sticking around here. Probably about time I head back.
He didn't bother waiting for us to say anything to him, instead just turning to leave.
Is this really okay? Do we have no other option?
We have to run, don't we? Make our escape somehow? And how do you imagine we do that, genius? You put one foot in front of the other. Soon you'll be walking out that door. I just can't buy the premise that a mountain that has the space for an entire forest is this impossible to navigate space with no ways out when you're literally talking about being massacred in a mansion with no defenses because you're
they're not very far from civilization. They took a bus here.
Like, I can only imagine this is like Tahoe.
And also, like, don't get me wrong.
And Dean's even like, don't worry, I can take care of myself in the woods. Like, okay, cool, let's go then.
People get lost in the woods all the time, and it's very easy to accidentally, like, truly lose your way. But, like, this is a group of, like, multiple adults with like, equipment. Like, they can just... It's not going to be... It's just weird. It's just weird that they're like, oh no.
Risky. It's just that they're literally about to be murdered en masse by a group that they see as
like,
just
what else
an
is their
impossible,
option,
inevitable
right?
force. Tyson was right. Even if we had attempted to climb our way off the mountain, with what remained of the road, not all of us could make it. It wasn't an option if we all wanted to escape. Why would we not all make it? What does that mean? Especially since, like, Roswell's illness hasn't acted up in this timeline.
Yeah.
I don't like it. At most, he's like coughed a bit or something. But like, you just walk. You go. Everyone can just walk. Pack some water. I noticed that.
I hope they get Blair Witched in the woods.
Sal's just staring at a corner in an abandoned house.
I would like that. I would like that very much.
I noticed Thanatos make a go for my arm and stood as he climbed up my sleeve. He gestured with his head to the foyer, and I went to go have a look. I could see Dom still standing outside, seemingly taking the time to stretch just beyond the threshold of the back door. Wait. He turned to look at me, and I looked to Thanatos for guidance. Not that he seemed to be paying me any mind, looking instead right at the bear opposite us. You're leaving? Already?
No point sticking around here, is there?
Just, you dropped a lot on us suddenly. Why are you offering us a deal, really? Why do any of this?
Thought I was pretty clear with that. I just want an easier job.
And going through the effort to make a deal with us rather than just showing up with guns is easier?
You expected me to come out and say I don't want to kill no one? That I'm in some unfortunate position? I'm taking pity on you, Law, for being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
He cocked a smile and I took a step back.
I like my job. It gets messy sometimes. And I don't have to get messy, but still get paid all the better. Not that I mind messy, mind you.
You must be crazy. I don't understand.
Trust me, I know crazy and Jack has me beat. It's true. Jack is a lot more unpredictable than you are.
Is he?
I feel like they're both.
I'm like,
they're
isn't
both
Dom the wild card, as we've
predictable.
all pointed out in this narrative, apparently?
Yeah.
And Jack is seemingly very reliable and consistent in his behavior of being an unhinged weirdo. But
Yeah.
like he's crazier, if you're gonna agree with that, but unpredictable. I don't know if that fits, actually.
The rat talks.
Realized that line hadn't happened yet. He's special.
He's my special friend. You're going back to Memphis now, right? The rat's actually talking. How's that rat talking?
He's special? Just getting a little feedback
Literally
loop now.
repeating himself. Okay.
I don't know how else to explain it.
I want to know what you're planning on telling him about your visit. Gonna tell him exactly what happened. I offered a deal. You need to think about it. Not good enough.
Why is that not good enough?
Are you fucking kidding me? Dave, you have the media literacy of a fucking hamster. What the fuck? Memphis isn't gonna take that. He'll get bored and show up tomorrow anyway. You literally said you couldn't meddle. You said you couldn't meddle, Thanatos. Why are you meddling?
No, he's directly meddling. He's actually just stepping in and
Telling
just
us the future and stepping in.
actively
Yeah.
interfering, yes.
Brawley. Which is why we're not thinking about it.
Benson?
We're gonna take your deal. But we need some days to be ready for what will happen. How many? 2. Stay out of this.
Why 2 days?
Trust me, we need 2.
What's gonna happen to you two? Or what's gonna happen in 2? You all clearing out or what?
In 2 days, you'll take one of us as collateral, just in case something goes wrong. Memphis has someone to question.
I don't like how Thanatos was now just deciding that one of us was going to be a sacrifice. Or at the very least, that's what it sounded like.
Yeah, alright. I think I can make that work.
But
No, this is how it must be.
Guess I'll be seeing you in 2 days then.
then he just left, turning around and wandering away into the trees and out of sight. For a few moments, I just stood there, staring at the spot he disappeared, before finding myself lightheaded, and I fell to my knees.
Boy, watch it.
What I don't get is why he wouldn't just take somebody as collateral now, if that's going to be the plan. Why would you plan to take someone as collateral 2 days from now, to assure something?
Doesn't make any sense.
No.
For the same reason that any other plot thing happens.
It's extremely convoluted, but I just can't even explain what its purpose is supposed to be at that point. Like, how does that work? Did that really just happen?
We have 2 days, only 2.
All things considered, that could have gone worse. It took me multiple seconds to get into Thanatos' voice. I literally forgot what he said. Second. Going from Benson to Thanatos is very difficult. Like, it's actually a hard
It didn't come up for so long because they just, like, never would interact.
Yeah. All things considered, that could have gone worse.
How much worse?
A few casualties. I wasn't kidding when I said he was a variable. So that's confirmation, yeah. I've had this exact conversation a few times, and sometimes he's killed a couple of you just to make a point.
I wonder why I thought the other thing. I don't know. I'll never find it again.
Because there might even have been a reference to another variable that just didn't make any sense at the time.
Maybe. Or just something that vaguely, weirdly implied. Because there are just a lot of strange lines in this game, so there could have been a weird line that felt like it oddly sounded like it still wasn't him or something. But also, like, it's just the folly of playing a thing and having your thoughts voiced out loud all the time. As every weird little mistake you have just gets, like, sealed in. You're like, I don't even know what fucking thought process I'm on now. This is the papers from the statue.
I don't think it should be held against you. That's all I'm saying. I don't think the game is doing a very good job of displaying information in a way that makes any sense to any sane human. So it's not your fault. You don't need to feel bad.
What happens now?
You have 2 days to figure that out. I won't help you anymore for arbitrary reasons.
I could hear the sigh Benson made and knew exactly who he was directing it to.
Yeah, the person he's having a conversation with. What? Like, what? Was there any doubt who he was sighing at?
There's a lot of internal monologue that reveals Dave to seem just like an idiot because he keeps discovering things constantly and realizing things that are just like the verbatim text of what's happening. Do you know what we should do, Thanatos?
No, legitimately, things are still up in the air. I will need to consider my next move carefully, otherwise this go around is a waste.
2 days. I looked up to Benson and he looked so exhausted. He was wobbling. Maybe he was ill, but before I could think on it further, he collapsed to a knee. Benson?
Dave,
He faded fast, breathing ragged before he passed out. Was it lack of sleep? Had he just been holding things together for the sake of Dom's visit?
The plot keeled him over because it needed him to. That's what happened. The plot happened. Someone passed out. It's just the way the game works.
Well, that's unfortunate.
What's funny to me is that Dave just had this kind of reaction about 5 seconds ago. So it's just, everyone's just got the vapors. What do we do?
He needs rest for the most part, but the lack of sleep has done its job.
Wait, how much sleep has he had? How much have you stopped him having?
He hadn't had a night's sleep in a while, between keeping watch plus my own little games.
But why would you do that? What could you possibly get by getting Benson out of the way?
Now that he's at his limit and we've spoken with Dom, what do you think is gonna happen?
I don't know.
Just let him sleep for like a few days. Just let him sleep for a few days. It's fine. He can literally sleep for 8 hours and be rested. He would be tired, but this isn't how the body works. Like, if you go 5 days without sleeping, you aren't incapacitated for 5 days after. You sleep for like 16 hours and then your body's like, all right, I have to live now. Yeah, like it's not, you just take that damage. That's just what happens.
It's more like if you want him incapacitated, you need to keep him up for like 50 hours before that exact moment.
Yes, exactly.
Dave, someone's gonna be taken in 2 days. Who do you think is going to go?
If I had to guess, Roswell?
Why Roswell? Dave, are you stupid?
Because he keeps saying to sacrifice himself because he's dying.
Sure, but that's not gonna be, I don't think that's gonna be the person that Memphis is gonna take. I don't think it's up to really us.
I wouldn't expect it to be up to us, and also, just basically following this conversation, it's just very obvious Thanatos means Benson. This is extremely obviously the entire point of this conversation, so Dave's just kind of an idiot. But
it's also just funny because it's
Dave
like
just recognizing the pattern of like, oh right, I've been told 75 times to sacrifice Roswell. I guess this is the contrived moment that he was talking about that he somehow was ready for.
I feel like they are more, that the thing Roswell is talking about is much more likely to be like, we're running in the woods and a literal feral bear is chasing us and then I trip. Just leave me. The bear can eat me and the rest of you can escape. That is a much more realistic scenario than whatever this is, right? Even in the context of this insane video game world. So it's just very silly for me to be like, yes, our grandmaster plan for escaping the mafia is we'll send them a hostage. The hostage we send them, and they'll never see this coming, is the 4'2" idiot that talks too much about anime. And it's like, okay, that's it, I guess. That will work for sure. He won't instantly kill all of us if we do that. This is very
as retribution. Possibly the funniest thing that Grizz has ever said to me is that as he's revising through the early days and whatnot, I think he just reached like the Oz interview in his revision of Dean's Route or something. He just keeps, there's a lot of conversations where the primary change he does is just remove several of Dave's lines.
Yes, that would be very valuable.
Him speaking out loud often literally is just him going, huh? What? In a way where like, it's like prompting the conversation to keep going, but it's actually just making him seem like a massive idiot because he just, and like you can like remove his line, the conversation still plays out exactly the same way because his line doesn't even feel missing, but it keeps making him seem even dumber and dumber and dumber all the time. It's like just making him not say something instead actively improves several conversations. Then who?
With Benson incapacitated, he's a lot more of a prime offering. More likely to fight back against Memphis, too.
Wouldn't that mean he's better with us? Well rested and, not as a hostage?
I would counter asking if you'd willingly sacrifice any of your friends in favor of saving the life of an otter you barely know. Coincidentally, his name is also Chunter.
Oh, no.
We just do that, you know? Just
Benson
throw that out there.
Hunter.
Imagine how awful it would be
His name's
if
Bunter.
yeah, Bunter, exactly. That's his full name. Imagine if that is what this game was. Benson is directly related. It's all coming full circle.
That'd be absolutely upsetting. What's my thought process? Shit. I'm dead. It's over. Oh yeah, it's like, have you read The Walking Dead, Dave? We're doing a Negan. This is what Negan did. It's one of the more entertaining fun little things that Walking Dead pulled off is the rehabilitation of Negan as a villain. Because he's introduced specifically by killing the fan favorite character, essentially. And so him having this very long arc of him becoming the fan favorite character afterwards is one of the better handled things in recent like mainstream fiction of like, oh wow, yeah, they actually pulled off the thing that by all rights should not have worked out for them. Like, and in many ways did not in the show. The show constantly fucks up at any of the risks that the comic took. But there very much is like gets captured by the bad guys, kind of gains the trust of and infiltrates the bad guys, and then just kidding, specifically finds and kills their leader and drags their head back home for good boy points to try to prove himself. I'm like, what an interesting character. Negan is fun. Did not expect that.
It was cool. My favorite moment of Negan and what I have conceived of The Walking Dead is when he showed up in Tekken, because Tekken's canon to the Walking Dead universe. Anyway, that's all I've gotten out of his character.
I guess that can technically happen because it's a fucking isekai story, isn't it? Isn't Tekken like a fucking a demon portal? So
no, Tekken is a story about like mega corporations fighting each other.
I don't know if that can work. I don't know.
Tekken is about rich corporation kids being mad at their parent corporations. That's literally what it is.
What the fuck? Anyway. But we promised Roswell.
I have other plans for Roswell, but he's not going to be much better off.
We promised Roswell that he could die.
I hope he dies in a bear trap. I hope he walks and then just falls over and dies. That'd be great.
He'd also just be such an ineffective hostage if he died of his illness in the middle of being the collateral.
Yeah, like literally. That's what I was saying is like, right? Like you're gonna, it's like being like, don't worry, we will pay you, sir. And then the second they open the briefcase, it's just empty. And you're like, I haven't gotten away yet, but please fall for the ruse.
In fact, this exact thing also happened in The Walking Dead.
Yep.
In the show, there was a fucking collateral exchange, and then when they opened the fucking coffin they were keeping them in as a hostage, they were a zombie. Because that actor needed to go star in Star Trek Discovery. Definitely why that happened.
What's her name?
Yeah.
I think the actress's last name is no. The character is Green, or the actress's last name is Green, right? Sasha. Is that Green? The right name?
That sounds familiar.
That sounds like a name I've heard before.
Don't quote me on that. Just check Wikipedia, people.
Spoilers for a 15-year-old comic and probably at this point 15-year-old show.
Parts of it. People began drive-by spoilers for Walking Dead for years for me. I think about it too much. None of us are going to be after today. Now with Benson out.
This was the price to maximize the time you could have to prepare your escape.
But like this? You started this plan how long ago just for this moment?
Are you going to be ungrateful?
He hopped down off my shoulder and wandered closer to Benson.
He sure is out like a light. Maybe he'll be a little less grumpy after he wakes up.
Then he began to pat Benson down as if looking for something. What are you looking for?
This.
He reached into one of Benson's pockets and pulled out a key. What's it go to?
A room that Benson keeps locked up. And now...
I watched as he flashed me another quick smile before biting down hard on the key, and I heard it crack.
It's made of chocolate, Dave. It's a chocolate
It's a chocolate key. Thanatos, wait. He bit down harder, but for a moment I saw him shudder. But then the key broke into shards of metal, now completely unrecognizable as a key. What have you done?
Limiting the options for variants. In no iteration thus far where you've been allowed a full armory does it go well.
All I could do was stare at the pieces of metal as I crawled closer, then struggled to get up. I hooked Benson's arm over my shoulder to try and get him back inside. I hope for your sake you're right, Thanatos. I mean, Thanatos functionally dies within the week also, so I don't think you can go after his livelihood, his survival as a threat. Okay, well, an extremely convoluted plan has begun. We'll see how that plays out.